just joined us on the System After Dark, this is a homegrown number courtesy of E3 and Cracker. Bulla, how's it going? I'm D, your host on the System After Dark, right here on Today FM. Today's hit music. You can catch me weeknights at 7 p.m. That's from Monday to Friday, only on the home of Today's hit music. And don't forget, that's D with you every weeknight on the System After Dark. Even got that homebrew flowing.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. In this bulletin, looting runs rife at burnt-out warehouse in Suva. 3 primary school students' death unrelated to education system. And concerns that graduates lack literacy skills. Looters have been helping themselves to goods from the fire damaged at Atlas Trading Warehouse in Vathuanga, Suva. The fire gutted the warehouse in the Vathuanga industrial area about a fortnight ago. Ellen Stalls has the story.
This was the scene this morning. Men, women and even children removing goods from the burnt-out remains of the warehouse. Some of the looters were seen loading items into cars and even trucks. Reluctant to come on camera, people said they were asked to clean out the warehouse and even leave materials outside. However, clearly this was not the case. The warehouse, which burnt last month, is now guarded by a private security company. Company owner Naveen Chandra says he has received reports of looting since the weekend. He refused to comment any further, referring us to his insurance company. FBC News contacted the insurance company, who said they have hired a private investigator from abroad to look into the matter. It was noticed that there were no police officers to be found near the scene. However, police spokesperson Atunaisa Sokumuri says he can confirm there was no report of items being stolen from the ruined warehouse. An investigation into the case of the warehouse fire continues. Ellen Stalls, FBC News.
And this afternoon, police secured the Atlas Trading Warehouse in Vathuanga. Police chased the crowd away and stopped the looting. However, eyewitnesses say the looters have already identified the items they want to take and have placed them outside the warehouse. They will await nightfall to go back and retrieve the items. Police spokesperson Atunaisa Sokumuri says people are putting their lives in danger by going to a damaged building. The Education Ministry has completed its investigation into the suicides of 3 primary school students in Suva last week and compiled a report. Initial reports allege the students killed themselves because they feared failing their internal exams. However, this conclusion has been challenged. Akusita Tale with the details.
The Education Ministry conducted its own investigation on the death of 3 primary school students, which shocked the country last week. However, upon completion of the investigations, the final report is not what has initially been reported. The ministry has confirmed students and parents have been interviewed and revealed they may not have died from fear of failing their internal examinations.
The problem was one student, it was a failed love affair. The other student, broken marriage and therefore lack of love from the parents. And the third student was basically the student had a lot of, was kind of ill-treated by parents.
Dr. Reddy contends it was the lack of parental support that caused the students taking their own lives. The ministry is urging and encouraging parents to engage and support with their children, especially those under 18 years of age.
We cannot leave entirely to the school system to develop the child, while the school system will do its job to ensure that children do not get carried away by peer pressure or external parties. But we want parents to play a very important and critical role in the overall growth and development of a child.
The report has been handed to Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama at his request. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
The Education Ministry has identified literacy problems faced by graduating students in the employment sector, and it is working with tertiary institutions to iron this out. This has been confirmed by the Education Minister, Dr. Mahendra Reddy, at the opening of the Fiji Higher Education Commission meeting in Suva today. Akusita Tale again with this report.
Fiji's positive economic growth has led to a reduction in the country's unemployment rate, with more people entering the job market. However, many who have graduated and are now employed still lack language proficiency skills.
We are also concerned about the subject matter content of the students. All our universities, the language of instruction is English, but despite the students spending 3 years for undergraduate degree or 2 years for higher education diploma, 1 year for certificate, you still find the students are having problem with language proficiency, English language proficiency.
Reddy is also concerned that graduates are entering the labor market with no experience on the subject matter.
We are okay when a graduate enters the labor market, the graduate spends time learning about the firm-specific issues. That's okay, that's understandable. Because universities don't teach about the different firms. That's acceptable. But what is not acceptable is for the student to go to the industry and again spend time, industry time, learning about the subject matter. That is what is bothering us.
Stakeholders, members of the Fiji Higher Education Commission and tertiary institutions have been reminded to work together and find out the cause of the problem.
We need to always look at where we're at, what's the current standard and how do we improve. I can certainly say, being from Fiji National University, there are many areas where we need to improve. But I think there's a full commitment from staff and students to do what we can and to do it even better, to make a difference.
The Higher Education Commission meeting ends tomorrow. Ako si Tatalay, FBC News.
80% of tertiary students who are on the verge of completing their studies have no idea what career they will choose after graduation. Speaking on FBC's For the Record program last night, Fiji Higher Education Commission Chair Dr. Richard Waugh said this is one of the reasons why there is a lack of competency in the workforce. Shireen Lata reports.
A few days prior to the graduation ceremony, the Fiji Higher Education Commission visited a major university, asking students what they will be doing after graduating. According to the Commission's chairperson, Dr. Richard Waugh, a large number of students said they had not thought about it.
And that shocked the life out of us. We were saying, if these guys who have finished all of our primary and secondary school, finishing a degree and are going to graduate tomorrow, don't even know what job they're going to pick up, it's frightening.
In the tertiary studies strategy, students must know what their interests are and be able to know the various pathways available for them. Dr. Waugh says most students have a perception that they can get a job if they have relevant qualifications. However, that's not what the industry expects.
We are not a believer in certificate. You can have as many certificates as possible, but if you can't do the job, that's meaningless to us.
The Fiji Higher Education Commission, the Education Ministry and tertiary institutions are discussing how they can better prepare students for the workforce at a symposium underway in Suva. Shireen Lata, FBC News.
2 people are the latest to be charged with seditious-related activities this week. The pair appeared in the Lautoka Magistrates Court this afternoon, bringing the total number of those arrested and charged to 74. Madhyam Bolaitamana was in court and filed this report.
2 Ramen, Tomasina Villa Kathanavatu Malumu and Levi Talme Dhakonrove fronted the Lautoka Magistrates Court this afternoon, charged with a count each of sedition and a count each of urging political violence. The pair were to have appeared in the Tabua Magistrates Court today, however the court was closed. Malumu and Talme Dhakonrove have opted for a High Court hearing. Their case will be called in the Lautoka High Court on the 18th of September for mention. Meanwhile, 14 of the 16 Nandronga men and women accused of sedition and urging communal antagonism appeared before the Lautoka High Court this morning. Missing from the 16 were 2 women, Andi Dhubu Talatoka Atama and Andi Vasamada Ngwaniwai. Both could not make it to court as they were still being held at the Suva Women's Remand Center when the case was called in Lautoka. The office of the DPP asked if they could be given 7 days to respond to the bail application filed by defense lawyer Aman Ravindra Singh. Singh told the court that he had a number of issues he wanted to bring to the court's attention regarding his client's rights whilst being in remand. Judge Justice Thusara Rajasinghe informed the defense counsel that he could file an application for the matter to be heard in the next court date. Justice Rajasinghe then stood the matter down to wait for the arrival of the two women who, according to prosecution, were still making their way from Suva. Case did not proceed at 3 p.m., which was the rescheduled time. It will now be called on the 16th of September in the Lautoka High Court. Madhimbole Tamana, FBC News.
In the news ahead, Ministry hopes to halve leptospirosis cases by 2020.
Nama kikirau mena tolu kina bitu. Ena via kami, moliti kina porombuka.
Goria na lali ne kami, Bula FM, Navandua ena seri.
Opposition MP Moses Mbulitavo, along with a reported 5 fellow SEDELPA MPs, today faced an investigating team charged with looking into a damning audit report and allegations of misconduct. SEDELPA's General Secretary Pio Tambaiwalu told FBC News that to ensure the 4-member investigating team was as impartial as possible, the party executives had distanced themselves to allow the investigation to run its course. Tambaiwalu could not confirm exactly who the members of the investigating team are, only that they come from within the party. Repeated calls to Mbulitavo remain unanswered when this bulletin was prepared. The investigating team, which is answerable to SEDELPA's management board, is expected to finalize their report by the 2nd of October. The Health Ministry is targeting a 50% reduction in leptospirosis cases by 2020. An action plan is being developed to enhance early detection and improve the clinical management of leptospirosis cases. Ritika Pratap reports.
Research in the past has shown that leptospirosis is endemic in Fiji.
We were primarily at risk here in Fiji of contracting the disease by a certain risk factor. We continue to research on it for us to better understand the disease and the transmission dynamics of the disease.
Leptospirosis has a higher morbidity and mortality rate compared to other communicable diseases. Dr. Mike Kama says, as a result, the ministry is formulating a leptospirosis action plan for 2016 to 2020.
It is the larger framework that we are working from. However, the activities are quite specific. There's research basis in it, and hopefully certain policies will also be derived from this in order to sustain whatever protocols that we've designated to lower the risks, the activity that need to be conducted to lower the risks of leptospirosis transmission in our communities.
Dr. Kama says all communities in Fiji are at risk and people living in rural areas are at greater risk. An average of 420 lab-confirmed cases and 42 deaths were reported annually from 2012 to 2014.
We had primarily because it was associated with the flooding. There were 2 flooding events in 2012, in mid-year and also in late that year. So whenever there's flooding, there's proven to be association with increased leptospirosis activity. And so when you pull the numbers from 2012 across towards 2014, etc., you'll get this kind of statistics.
Leptospirosis is an infectious bacterial disease that occurs in rodents, dogs and other mammals and can be transmitted to humans. The early stages of the disease may include high fever, severe headache, muscle pain, chills and redness of the eyes. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Fiji's High Commissioner to Australia, Yogesh Punja, says the relationship with his host country is better than ever. Maggie Boyle spoke to the Commissioner, who was in Fiji to attend the Pacific Islands Development Forum Summit.
He's the newest member of Fiji's diplomatic corps based overseas.
I'm not getting too involved in the political diplomacy side. I'm more concerned about the economic diplomacy element of the country. Australia is a very important partner for Fiji, and I think that relationship exists today, even after we've had a bit of a falling out. But nonetheless, our relationship is better than ever.
Punja adds that while it's early stages, it's about engaging and ensuring Fiji's position is clear. It's also about cementing the country's reputation as the Pacific hub.
I've got over 12 ambassadors here from Canberra. from Russia to Israel to Palestine, you name it, we have brought them all across here for this event. We wanted to first of all get them to engage with the Pacific Island leaders, and secondly also understand what PIFS is. PDEF is.
Punja noted that while he was only an observer at the recent PIDF summit in Suva, the issue of climate change and its impacts is a priority for all to address. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
From the beginning of this year, there has been an average of 21 earthquakes a month in the Fiji region. However, there is nothing to worry about as this is normal. Chanel Sivan tells us more.
We get about 5 earthquakes a week on average. However, most of them are so far below the earth, we don't even feel them. One occurred yesterday afternoon south-southwest of Matokana village in Onoilau, hitting a magnitude of 5.4 on the Richter scale, 562 kilometers below ground. Another occurred under Fiji waters this morning. Director Mineral Resources Department Malakai Finau says these events are normal.
Well, for us it's nothing to be alarmed about at the moment. I say this because of the magnitude. There has been no major earthquakes. That's the reason why I'm saying that we should not be alarmed. But you know, earthquakes and seismic events occur all the time for us. So in that regard, given the low magnitudes that we've been having as well, it's quite normal.
While most quakes are not felt, when tremors are felt on the surface, it could be a warning of something yet to come, as in Christchurch in New Zealand.
Okay, these events can be what we call foreshocks. It can also be aftershocks. Aftershocks is when a big event happens and then you have many small events. Whereas the reverse may also be true. You can have many small events leading up to a big event.
Finau says the seismology unit has also enhanced in information dissemination. That is, as soon as an earthquake is recorded, the data is sent to all media organizations and the National Disaster Management Office. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
Sports is up next. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Thanks, Jackie, and good evening. Coming up, Flying Fijians demolish Canada in its last match before the Rugby World Cup. And the day's results from the Commonwealth Youth Games. We'll have this and more after the break.
छू 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 हे हे नमस्ते फीजी आपके हर एक प्रॉब्लम की दवा लेकर मैं आ गई हूँ 9 से 12 बजे तक आपकी सहेली रेनू छू 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 40 में 20 का दिखना है मैं हूँ ना आपके साथ में मिर्ची एफएम पर 9 से 12 बजे तक मंडे टू फ्राइडे मिर्ची इट्स हॉट
The Vodafone Flying Fijians have won its last build-up match before the Rugby World Cup, beating Canada 47-18 this morning in England. While the result was positive, it was not the team's primary concern as it prepares for the much bigger task of facing England in the World Cup opener. Indra Singh has more.
Playing an international for the first time since the Pacific Nations Cup final last month, Fiji looked good against the Canadians, but this unit is still a work in progress.
We know the key things we need to do in the game, and sometimes we executed them today, sometimes we didn't. I mean, we might have a couple of little plays up our sleeve that we haven't used yet.
As Fiji going to this blind side, Braid will have to make his tackle.
Having watched England dismantle Ireland a day earlier, the skipper says this hit-out was timely.
And that is Weseya Nyatha Leaf.
To get rid of these cobwebs and play against Canada and work on some of patterns or some of the style that we need to take against England.
Overlap here for Fiji.
It's all eyes on the Fiji-England match, which is becoming the talk of the rugby world, and the Fijians are aware of the task on hand.
Try from Fiji.
We've now got time to work. You know, we've had that good hard hit out. We'll learn a couple of lessons from today, and really now we'll start focusing on the England game.
The Canadians were not to be undone as they put in a good showing in patches and were also glad to have an outing before the World Cup.
We, for the most part, kept them out of our end, and we had a couple of real good phases there where we put 2 tries in within, I think, 30 seconds. It just shows what we can do when we keep our ball.
Here's Hearn.
It's now countdown to the first match on September 19th, and as mentioned, all the focus will be on what Fiji brings to Twickenham. Based on the outing today, just maybe, one can only hope it is an ominous sign for the World Cup hosts. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, Fiji's World Cup pool opponent Wales could be without Rhys Webb and Lee Halfpenny after they were taken off the field on stretchers in their 23-19 warm-up win over Italy yesterday. 26-year-old Webb suffered ankle damage at a first-half breakdown in the game at Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. Meanwhile, Halfpenny damaged his right knee in the 70th minute. This could be a big loss for coach Warren Gatland if the two are officially ruled out.
It's not great, is it? But you got to feel for the, if they are ruled out, it's a massive blow for them, and it's disappointing for us. But sometimes you got to put that behind and work with the players that you got and build them, and have the confidence going into the next game.
Meanwhile, England, which Fiji plays first up, were happy with its last warm-up match yesterday against Ireland. The Poms beat the Irish 21-13 and are happy with the way things are progressing for the World Cup.
Definitely, I think when you start an international test week, you always want to have the plan to win, and I think that to get a victory here, keep that unbeaten run at Twickenham was important, and we're delighted. So hopefully, we can keep up the good work.
I think it was very pleasing. I think the things that we identified in the France game, I think we put out there in the game today, which rectified some of those mistakes. I think we've still got a little bit to go in terms of our discipline.
The first game of the tournament on Saturday week sees Fiji take on England at 7 a.m. You can watch that game and all matches at the World Cup live on FBC TV. Squash rep John Shackley was Fiji's first athlete to take part in the Commonwealth Youth Games in Apia, Samoa today. Despite a valiant performance, Shackley lost to Scotland's Richard Hollins 3-0. Tennis rep Devrath Narayan also played in the boys singles and lost to PNG's Matthew Stubbins in 2 straight sets. In athletics, Kameli Ravudi and Apollo Shikoroya are through to the next round of eliminations in the 400 meters event tomorrow, while Alessi Finau and Laisani Kavuru bombed out in the girls' 100 meters semi-finals. The men's sevens rugby side had scrimmage sessions against England and Singapore today, while the women's team had a session against Tonga and Samoa. All 6 swimmers competed in the pool today, with the finals to be held this evening. A total of 22 gold medals are on offer on the first day of competition today. While all the attention has been on the Flying Fijians' World Cup progress in England, the national cricket side will also be in action in Essex, London from today. The Joe Rika-led side will take on Guernsey in its opening match in the World Cricket League Division 6 tournament tonight. This will be Fiji's maiden appearance in Division 6, while Guernsey has featured in the competition previously, finishing 5th last year. Fiji is also pooled with Suriname and Botswana. The Fiji-Guernsey match will be played in 50 overs and begins at 9:30 p.m. Fiji time. The 2 top teams from this division will progress to the Division 5 competition next year. And that's your sports for tonight. Good evening.
373 building permits were issued in the first 6 months of this year with a value of $48.6 million. The number of permits approved for construction works recorded an increase of 3.3% compared to the first quarter of 2015. Of the $48.6 million of building works approved, 33.2% was for private dwellings, 60.7% was for non-private dwellings, and the remaining 6.1% was for alteration work. A large number of building permits were issued in the Central Division with a value of $32.8 million. Cloudy skies and scattered showers affected most parts of the country today. At the moment, warm northerly winds are meeting cooler winds from the south around Fiji, resulting in rain and temperature changes. Suva recorded 28 degrees today, Nadi 29, Lautoka 31, Bansavusavo recorded 30, and Lambasa was the highest at 32 degrees. The outlook for tomorrow, much like today, occasional showers over most places, with some clearing in the west during the day, cool at night. Looking ahead to Wednesday, scattered showers in the east, clearing in the west. The main points again. Looters have been putting their lives at risk and helping themselves to goods from the fire that damaged the Atlas Trading Warehouse in Vathuanga, Suva. The Education Minister, Dr. Mahendra Reddy, says the death of 3 primary school students last week are unrelated to the education system, and the Education Ministry has identified literacy problems faced by graduating students in the employment sector, and it is working with tertiary institutions to iron this out. Now to our poll segment, the results from last week. We asked, can the Flying Fijians reach the quarterfinals at the Rugby World Cup? 67% said yes. This week, we're asking, is enough being done to prevent suicides in the country? Visit our FBC website, www.fbc.com.fj, to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You can also find us and watch replays of the news on YouTube at our channel FBC TV 2011. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. Bye for now.